easel.
You know, more and more social media platforms and many other digital properties are giving you analytics. So these are just a few examples of ways that you can do some analytics on different elements of content and copy and start to extrapolate that evidence to more meaningful stuff. So what we're going to do is get started with Google Analytics. And so when we're here, what we're going to do to get started here is, first of all, make sure that we're at our right property and our right view. So you're going to see here that we're going to go to our blog in this case, and we're going to go to Ludell's Ultimate View. Okay, so one way that we can do this is going to Intelligence here, and maybe we can ask what pages are top performers. All right, so there are the top 10 pages by page views. So for example, you can see here that this is, over the last few days or so, the last week or so. So that's a little bit different. We might want to change that scope. But this is really helpful for you seeing what pages people are going to. Now, one thing that I notice here is that, for example, this is some content from 2016, these 3 pages here. So I think that, and here's another one. So like this OpenAI, that makes me think that for some reason, these pages have kept on getting traffic well after the early times that they were created. For example, like this new courses for fall of 2017 page, that was published recently and promoted. So of course it's getting, traffic. But something that was published, this looks like it was published in April of 2016. So that's still getting traffic. That's maybe something to take note of. All right, so now let's move past that. And I just want to let you know that you can also take a deeper look at your page reports, and you can compare segments and things like that. It's actually usually presented, at least currently, in the default homepage view. So here would be the full page report, and this is where you can go and start adding some segments and things like this. All right, so now let's go to Buffer App, and I'm on the business plan, so that means that I get a little bit more access to analytics. And what I want to be looking for are topics, sources of value, and emotions that look like they're resonating with our audience. So if I go to analytics here and I do something like look at most popular, and maybe I'll do most clicks, because there's probably a lot of people who click but don't comment or whatever. So using this, then I'm going to be able to see, like, all right, so here is one about truth in journalism that people clicked on a lot. Visual learning, we had relatively a lot of clicks on that. But this is a relatively limited view. This is the past 90 days. So if we just expand our view to something a little bit longer, maybe we can get some more interesting insights. All right, cool. So here's a little bit of a longer view, and this post here got a lot of clicks, but there's one that I really wanted to show you just to bring this to life a little bit. Okay, so here we are. So this is in my LinkedIn account. So these are the posts that were most popular, some of them that I made on LinkedIn. And what I wanted to show you here is that this post was really popular. This one about how you use voice control on your devices. And that is what led me to invest more in content related to voice control. Not only because I think it's important, but I noticed from my content analytics that people are interested in this. And it wasn't just this one post. I've noticed this on other channels and other places where I've been talking about this, that people are interested in this stuff. So this is a good example of how you use content analytics, to then drive what you create and how you interact with your community. All right, so now let's look at a third property, which is Bitly. So you learned about this earlier in the course. So if you remember from Bitly, there's a couple ways that you can use Bitly. I find that it's really good for location tracking and for looking at the link's performance over time. So when I look at top performers, like this cost of happiness content got around 1,800 clicks. That's pretty good. And so I can go in here and I can see, for example, who are the top referrers. So most of this traffic came from Facebook because it got picked up in a Facebook group. And you can see, for example, that the United States and the UK are both some of the top locations, so that maybe makes you think that, people in the US and the UK were interested in this more than other countries for whatever reason. There might need to be more analysis than that. And another way that you can use Bitly, which is what I alluded to this a little bit earlier in the course when we looked at Bitly the first time, is you can navigate by tags. So if you go over here and then you click tags, then for example, if we look at brain boosts and we apply the filter, then I have added this tag to any content that's linked as further resources or further reading in our brain boosts. And this helps me make better content for our audience. So for example, this updated guide that I promoted through the brain boost, that looked like people liked that one pretty well. That was a guide to LinkedIn. When I looked like this is a coupon code that was related to a new course that we announced. So people liked that one. And here's something that I think is, maybe this is also maybe particularly interesting, is like this Nation Master. So this is actually a citation. So this was a source for a brain boost, and people clicked on it because they wanted to know this source. So whatever this was, people were particularly interested in that. And here's another one. All right, so this neuroplasticity and cognitive development, people were really interested in this. It looks like it was a PDF. And also you can see over time. So for example, even though this was initially clicked on sometime around September, people are still clicking on it later in October. So those are some ways that you can look, you can use Bitly. The tagging I think is really useful. For example, if you're certain types of content that you want to track and juxtapose those with each other, not with overall content, and also track location and things like that. That's really helpful. And there are so many others. Dive into Twitter, dive into Facebook. I know Twitter has some really great analytics, and whatever's relevant for you, you want to be looking for your topics, your sources of value, and the emotions that resonate with your audience, and this is how you do it.